It is the seventh BOXTOROW countdown to kickoff. We are at Sticks and Vines here in Durham. Thank you, of course, all of those that have showed up here at Sticks and Vines for this seventh BOXTOROW countdown to kickoff, where we talk with the HBCU football coaches from the state of North Carolina. I am your host, Donal Ware, and we've been doing this a good long time. As I mentioned, this is our seventh one. We started back in 2014. We were at the Buffalo Wild Wings in Holly Springs. So this is actually the 10th year of this, but our seventh countdown to kickoff as we talk with the head football coaches at the HBCUs in the state of North Carolina. Well, for those that don't know about BOXTOROW, and joining me momentarily, as a matter of fact, our first guest momentarily, he's going to join us. The head football coach, of course, at Shaw is Adrian Jones. But BOXTOROW started back in 2005. As a matter of fact, we're coming up on 19 years on the air. It is a national, of course, sports talk show, airs on Sirius XM as well as radio stations across the country. And I think the great thing about this program is it places a major emphasis on HBCU sports and puts a light on HBCU sports. And the reason we're able to have this event is because of these coaches. So those that are here, if you would give them a round of applause, as a matter of fact. And, of course, thank you for being here as well. Just a couple of house cleaning things before we really get started with the program. We are going to start celebrating, again, as I mentioned, this is 19, or we're coming up on 19 years, but this is the 20th season. So actually August the 21st of this year, I should say, will be the 20th season of BOXTOROW. So we're going to start doing some things to commemorate the 20 years on the air until we get to August the 20th of 2005, and then we're going to do a big celebration in Raleigh. So be on the lookout for that. We're very, very excited about that. Let's get this show started. As a matter of fact, joining us first up is the head football coach at Shaw. Now, this is his 9th season, 8th on the field, because we missed a year because of COVID. Shaw finished last year 3-7, 3-5 in the CIAA. The Bears opened this season on August the 31st at Durham County Stadium against Elizabeth City State, as Adrian Jones joins us here on the countdown to kickoff. What's going on, Coach Jones?
What's going on, man? First and foremost, I want to thank you for having us on here, man. You're doing a great job with the HBCUs, and we appreciate you.
I appreciate that, Coach Jones. Matter of fact, for you, so this is probably, if this is our 7th one, you probably have been to 6 of them.
Correct.
So thank you for your support. Let me start here, spring, and we'll talk about the season. We'll talk about the expectations. We'll talk about some of the personnel. But your thoughts in terms of spring football and what you saw from the Bears in the spring?
Spring, we created some depth, some competition on the offensive line, secondary, special teams, all 3 phases of the game. We weren't very good at either one of those. And so we had to look at ourselves in the mirror. Not just players, but coaches as well. It's not always the players' fault that you lose, but it's also the coaches. So coaching changes and doing things my way. If we're gonna lose, I'll take the blame. If we're gonna win, it's all about the team. But at the end of the day, we all got to be on one accord.
I know one of the concerns I think you had when we had those weekly calls, the media calls, one of the concerns I think you had was on the offensive line. How were you able to address that whether it was via transfer portal, whether it was via, signings? How were you able to ensure that offensive line?
Well, we signed some freshmen, and we had some JUCOs to come in as well. But all those guys were sophomores and juniors. So all the offensive line are back. Nobody went in the transfer portal. So just seasoning and getting coached up and getting bigger, faster, and stronger.
Yeah, can you speak to, that's interesting, because I know a lot of coaches are the transfer portal is a you ask it's a good thing or a bad thing, but you had 0 players to go to the portal.
Offensive line.
Offensive line was okay. Yeah, okay. Let me clarify. Sorry, but so did you have a lot of players? Let me ask it this way: did you have a lot of players that actually went into the portal?
Well, we had quite a bit, but those guys wanted to go somewhere else, so so be it. Let them go somewhere else. God bless. At the end of the day, we only want people that want to be a part of our program, and we did a good job of bringing some guys in that really want to be a part of Shaw University football and also be a student athlete and graduate and get a degree.
You are returning 9 starters on offense. That's pretty good. Speak to that and sort of what your expectations are offensively.
Well, the glue is there. You know, we got 9 starters returning. The biggest thing is our trigger man. He got hurt the first game of the season against Benedict, Christian Peters, but we did revamp that room. Nathan Hilliard got a lot of playing time last year as a true freshman. And we brought in a kid by the name of Justin Wheeler out of Myrtle Beach Prep to, to make that room a little bit more confidence and a little bit more a little bit more savvy. But at the end of the day, I'm proud of those guys. They're working hard. Those 9 guys are back, but we also brought some guys in to try to take their positions at the end of the day. You want to create some competition. So I'm excited about that. But, losing a guy by the name of Sidney Gibbs is tough. Right now we're trying to figure out who's going to be that guy to take that void, but it's going to be very hard. But we'll figure it out.
You got another Gibbs coming back, though, as you got 8 on the defensive side in terms of starters that are returning. Defensive lineman Savion Gibbs, preseason All-CIAA guy, had 18 tackles for loss last year.
Yes, that led the country in losses last year. He's the catalyst of our defense. You also got a guy by the name of Brian Patterson. Noah Gibson was all conference this year. Rajon Mackey also all conference. So we got a couple pieces to the puzzle that D'Angelo Shepard, Jalen Banks. So those guys are seasoned. But like I said last year, we weren't very good. So we had to go back to the drawing board and make sure that we do a lot better with X's and O's. But what I like about Savion Gibbs is he's been that leader. And I think that's one of the biggest things that created that 3-7. We had no guys that wanted to take ownership and leadership of the football team. So he's guiding the guys and showing them how to do it.
The CIAA has done away with divisions for this upcoming season. Just want to kind of get your thoughts on that.
Really?
Yes. I mean, normally you don't pull anybody. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Oh, you won't get me in trouble.
Okay.
No, we're fine.
All right.
No, I really like the North and South. I
Okay.
think it's it's no different, really. The 2 best teams gonna play at the end of the day. It just puts a little pressure on you. You can't, it's gonna be a team in our conference is gonna be 7-1 and not make it to the championship. So the key is you got to win all those 7 games, and it is what it is. But we'll be ready.
Christian Peters, can I talk with you a little bit about him? Is quarterback, is he your guy, and what have you seen from him?
He's our guy, but his biggest thing is maturity. I think he's learned how to lead our program. He's been in the program for 5 years. It's just his biggest thing is when something good happens, he's on. When something bad happens, he got to stay cool and calm, and I think he's done a good job of that this summer, and just working hard and working on his craft. But we did learn not to run him much this year because, like I said, the first game of the season, he broke his clavicle. So we want to make sure that we get him through the most important games of the season and lead our team to a championship.
He's got some help, especially when you talk about the wide receivers. Sean Belcher, 35 receptions, 420 yards, had 9 touchdowns on last year. I mean, when you talk about 9 touchdowns on 35 receptions, that's pretty good. And he needs, about 540 yards or so to be the all-time leading receiver at Shaw in terms of receiving yards. What do you have in Mr. Belcher?
He's that guy that can go up and get it. He's that jump ball guy. He has for sure hands. He can catch in traffic. He has decent speed. But when you need something to happen, you can throw it to him. But he also has John Barnes, Maceo Wingate, who was a true freshman last year. He's put on some pounds. And then we got Chris Perkins, who was a quarterback at St. Aug. We moved him to wide receiver, and he had a great spring.
I look at some of these schedules. I look at your schedule. So 3 of the first 4 games are at home, which is, I know you got to feel pretty good about that, even though I guess only one of those games, maybe 2, would be conference games. But then on the back end, 4 of the last 5 are on the road, including 3 straight. It's going to be important, I guess, for you to get off to a good start.
Yes, it's definitely. We're proud to have some home games early to see who we are. The schedule's not easy, but it's winnable. But we just got to get out the gate. I was telling my AD the other day, since I've been at Shaw, we hadn't won the first game yet. And so coming out the box being 0-1 is kind of hard. So I think we'll be a much better team if we win that first game. But we also got three homecomings: John C. Smith, Fayetteville State, and our homecoming. You know, it's a little different now. You know, I don't think they picked us to play us because they thought they could beat us. It's just the way the schedule is. But at the end of the day, you know, we'll be ready to play.
Yeah, those coaches are in it. Coach Flowers and Coach Hayes are
I know.
They're in the building. We're going to talk with them a little bit later on. A couple of more thoughts with Adrian Jones, the head football coach at Shaw in his 9th season, 8th on the field. Sidney Gibbs, you mentioned him earlier. Phenomenal career at Shaw. You talk about a 4-year career in the CIAA, maybe one of the better 4-year careers that we've seen, came in and helped you right away. Yeah. What do you lose in not having a Sidney Gibbs?
Man, catch out the backfield. He's a strong runner. He can give you the home run. His leadership, his work ethic in the weight room, a student of the game, a student athlete. I mean, you name it. It's going to be tough to replace him. But the good thing is he's still in the weight room with our guys. He's still trying to go to the next level. So he's in there pushing our guys and helping out our younger running backs to try to get them to his level.
You know, one of the things I noticed when I looked at your coaching staff, you've got a veteran. You mentioned making some changes. You've got a veteran coaching staff.
Yes.
Can you kind of, sort of speak to that?
Yes, pretty much all our staff is intact. You know, we lost Coach Manigo to Virginia State. He's the offensive coordinator there now. But Coach Hester's our offensive coordinator. He's been there since I've been there. My brother's now has come back on our staff. He's the quarterback coach. Coach Wiggins, the OG of the staff, he's been all over, been a great defensive coordinator. Coach Hill, our defensive line coach. We got a great young coach by the name of Damani Neal, who graduated from Duke University. He's going to be our safeties and cornerback coach. I think he's doing a great job with our guys, and it's going to help us out. Coach Andre George is our running back coach and special team coordinator. So like you said, we got a seasoned group, but sometimes when you're that seasoned group and you've been together so long, you think that those X's and O's are the right way to go. Sometimes you got to change it up. And we did a little changing up, as far as like playbooks. Those guys, they go on hold and they look at their playbooks, but we actually have a playbook that they got to bring in their meetings. Just little things like that to try to make us better.
What do you remember most? You're a North Carolina Central grad, and I think one of the interesting things is, you're from Durham, you coached at Southern Durham, won a state championship as the head coach at Southern Durham. So you've been around Durham a good little while. Now you're just up the road in Raleigh. But what do you remember? You are a good football player at North Carolina Central. Played with, matter of fact, Trey Oliver's going to join us next. The head coach at North Carolina Central, played with him. What do you remember about those playing days with the Eagles?
Man, I just remember, guys like Coach Massey that played corner, just looking in the book and like, I want to be like him. He's playing in the NFL. I want to break his records. And, like I said, Trey, we sitting in our rooms, having those dreams of playing at the next level and just being the best secondary to ever to go through Central. And I think we did a good job of that. It's just great memories. To this day, I love North Carolina Central all day, every day. It's just a great place to be. Learn so much. Coach Little, he taught us so much, and he'll tell you right now, he would have never thought that he'd see me and Coach Oliver in this seat being a head coach. But he did a good job with us.
Last thought, I think what's sort of interesting, you coached, or Rod Broadway was the coach when you were an assistant at Central. Same thing with Coach Oliver. You go back to Coach Washington when he was the head coach, of course, at A&T. And you guys were, I think it was 2019 or maybe 2021 when all three of you were here, which was really, really cool. But he was your defensive coordinator when you guys were at Central. But Rod Broadway's been nominated for the College Football Hall of Fame. Okay, what your thoughts on that?
He's the GOAT. It's plain and simple. We learned so much from him, man. There's a saying we used to say, and I know Coach Oliver still says, Coach Massey probably does the same thing. Something good happens, keep playing. Something bad happens, keep playing.
Right.
And our practices are structured like his, with our little nuances that I like. But at the end of the day, he was a great coach for us, man. And I thank him each and every day of helping us out.
We appreciate it, Coach Jones.
Thanks, man.
Give it up for Adrian Jones, the head football coach at Shaw, joining us here on the countdown to kickoff. It continues next with the head football coach of North Carolina Central, Trey Oliver.
Max has been practicing to be a professional soccer player his whole life.
Do better. Let me take that from the top.
From your first real urgent care visit to full recovery, Ortho Carolina is there every step of the way.
I think I broke my ALC.
It's ACL. He's getting really good.
Deer Park is celebrating its 150th anniversary. Let's take a look back.
Deer Park? That's good water.
You can taste how pure Deer Park is.
Deer Park, that's good water.
Filtered naturally beneath the earth for a crisp, refreshing taste.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
Deer Park. That's still good water.
After 150 years, there's only one thing left to say. Deer Park, that's still good water.
How did you all get in here?
The legacy began in 1973. That was the year NCAA Division II was born. And since the very first day, our division has shaped generations of student athletes with a true sense of academics, athletics, and community. That is 5 decades of graduations, championships, teamwork, and personal development. 50 years of shaping student athletes into world-class leaders. NCAA Division II. Our division, our legacy.
Oh man, there's nothing I love more than a good trail mix. But a mountain bike trail, not so much. Oh, hey. My pedal. Wonder where the other one is.
From urgent care to your full recovery, Ortho Carolina is there every step of the way.
Good day, though. Good day.
Seventh. Big Sports TV. And thank you to those that are listening on Sirius XM Channel 84. As a matter of fact, Sirius XM College Sports Radio Channel 84. Thank you for making BOXTOROW's 7th countdown to kickoff a part of your day. Of course, in the last segment, had a chance to catch up with Adrian Jones, the head football coach at Shaw. Now, we're going to talk with, as a matter of fact, this is his 4th countdown to kickoff. Trey Oliver's in his 6th season, 5th on the field as the head football coach at North Carolina Central. The Eagles last year were 9-3, 4-1 in the MEAC. As a matter of fact, made a play, got an at-large berth to the FCS playoffs, which that doesn't happen a lot in the MEAC, so that's a pretty big deal. And the Eagles opened the season in the Orange Blossom Classic in Miami on Sunday, September 1st against Alabama State on ESPN. As a matter of fact, it's one of 5 nationally televised games, meaning ESPN or ESPNU, for the Eagles, as Trey Oliver joins us here on the countdown to kickoff. What's going on, Coach Oliver?
Man, not too much, man. It's good to be here. Whenever I see you, it means it's, about to kick this thing off. But yeah, like Adrian Jones said, appreciate what you do for us. You're one of the few networks that shows us some love in the MEAC. A lot of folks think the only ball that's being played is down in the SWAC. So we play football up here too. Good football.
Yeah, good football. No doubt about it. I appreciate you saying that. I got to start here. I had a chance to see Davius Richard play. And 2019 was his first year, was your first year. We come, 4 playing years, but 5 years later, and you have to replace him. When it's all said and done, he's going to be one of the, if not already, one of the greatest players to ever play in the MEAC. But you've got a guy in Walker Harris who played last year, I believe, played in all 12 games, yes. 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. What do you have in a Walker Harris?
Walker Harris is an outstanding quarterback, and we had a plan when we tried to develop young men. So we knew going into the start of the season that I wanted to play my quarterbacks as much as possible. So we had an opportunity to get up on some people, You know, a couple touchdowns. Whenever we did that, you know, I wanted to protect Davis, get him out the game. But at the same time, we had to be intentional with trying to develop Walker and getting him, you know, quality game reps. So there's nothing like game experience, you know, and you can practice as much as you want to, but until they're out there under center with the referees and the band and all that stuff, you know, that's the only way they're going to get those quality reps. But he has an unbelievable arm. He probably has better arm talent than Davius. He's definitely not the runner that Davius is, but very cerebral and can spin it. He can throw the football.
Got to ask you about this. So now I know you weren't happy with Davius Richard and he playing in that, or got injured really in that HBCU football game. His health status, where is he now? His health status, and where is he? Is he in camp now?
No, he did not get picked up. He's still rehabbing. You know, it's a process. It was a tough injury. So, you know, he's rehabbing now. He is running. He's starting to work out again. And we're hopeful that he'll get picked up on at least a practice squad, hopefully in September.
9-3 last season. Again, as I mentioned, an at-large playoff berth. Your thoughts on the Eagles season in 2023?
Somewhat disappointing. You know, we are about championships, and that's what we want to do. And, you know, I was joking with the media last year, and, you know, we started off with a very tough non-conference schedule. We got through that, and we were 6-1. And, you know, I was joking with the media, and I said, you know, I would much rather be 1-6 and win all these conference games and win the championship. But, you know, we started our toe. We lost one conference game and ended up obviously in second in our conference. But, you know, we were still able to play in postseason and make it to the playoffs and finish in the top 20. So, you know, it's about championships, though, man. Nobody remembers who come in second.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay.
But an at-large berth, you know, that's
championships, man.
Good enough.
All right.
All right.
My AD is in the back, and I got
yes.
chancellor, and they told me it's about championships. So,
Skip Perkins, the AD, of
right.
course, at North Carolina Central. So offensively, I look at this. Okay, so Walker Harris. I mean, he got some experience, which is really, really good. Particularly when you're talking about a guy like a Davius Richard, who was absolutely fantastic. I looked at this roster. Jamari Taylor comes back, your running back. He's really, really good. Devin Smith comes back, wide receiver.
Devin transferred.
He did.
Yeah. The transfer portal was not kind to the Eagles.
Okay.
But go ahead. We good, though.
Okay. Before I assume, Joaquin Davis comes back.
Yes, grown man.
Wide receiver. But you've got some other guys that are coming back, too. Joaquin is probably the most experienced guy, or has the most in terms of stats. So speak to, in particular, Taylor in the wide receiver room that's going to help a guy like Walker Harris.
Right. Well, we did replace Devin with Mekhi Wall. He transferred in from Duke, and I don't really talk about transfers until they play. But his father played in the secondary with me and Coach Jones.
Oh, wow.
So it was good to be able to get him back. We'll get him here in Durham. But, you know, we've got a talented team. And I think when you have a player like Davius, a star player, guys are kind of like role players and kind of sit back and are role players. But every place I've been, whenever you lost a superstar like that, those other guys step up, you know. So I'm really excited to see who's going to be that next superstar. And we're loaded offensively. Skill positions, receivers, we got plenty of them. I'm very pleased with our tight end room. Our running back room is outstanding. And our offensive line was extremely young last year, and they grew up. So we are going to, I think we're going to be explosive offensively, and then defensively, we got a lot of guys returning as well.
And you have 4 specifically starters that are returning, correct, on defense?
4?
That's the information I had.
Yeah, we play a lot of guys though, so we got depth. We got depth. Okay. But yeah, we do have it's 4 starters coming back, but we really try to play a lot of guys and a lot of depth to create depth. So for when this day comes.
Trey Oliver's the head football coach at North Carolina Central. He's joining us here, of course, on the countdown to kickoff. You mentioned the transfer portal. I've talked with you about this for a number of years. It's here, and I know it's not your favorite thing. But have you found that over the years you've kind of had to take a position? Maybe I should ask you what position you've taken in terms of the transfer portal, but it is what it is. It's here. guys are going to jump in from your team, but you also are going to have to, in essence, a lot of times, replace those guys with guys out of the portal, as you have already done.
Yes, I'm not a fan of the transfer portal, and I've been pretty vocal about it.
Yeah.
I'm all about developing high school student athletes. You know, we had quite a few guys that did leave our program and get into the portal. My man's throwing me off back here talking in my ear, man.
Yeah, you say 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
But,
just have 5 minutes.
Okay,
yeah.
5 minutes. But transfer portal, you know, we did lose some firepower, and, you know, it was good to see these guys, you know, go to another school and they're having success. A bunch of them are already starting at the schools they went to. I did have to go in the transfer portal and try to replace some of these guys, but, you know, I'm not a huge fan of it. You know, we got some guys banged up, I think, against Norfolk State last year. We play Howard, and I look out there, and I got 3 freshman linemen starting. And then I look beside me, I got 3 transfer linemen sitting on sidelines with me. So, like, when them dudes transfer, a lot of times they can't play, or secondly, they don't fit into the culture. So, you know, I'm a big culture over scheme guy, and if they don't fit into the culture and they not about our culture, that's not for me. So, we're going to keep, you know, continue to develop high school guys. I got to kind of change my thought process a little bit because, you know, you're losing them so late. But, you know, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure the transfer portal out.
Yeah, no question about it. I'm with you. I'm kind of old school in that way, but it's here. Schedule. When I look at the schedule, it looks like a nice schedule. You got A&T at home. I mentioned 5 nationally televised games, 2 classics. That's pretty big. You open up with the Orange Blossom Classic, as mentioned, and you still have 2 classics, and you still have 5 home games. I mean, you got to feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I'm excited about the schedule. Obviously, you know, us playing North Carolina A&T in Durham, this is going to be our first time playing them in Durham since I've been the head coach. So we're excited about that. And then, you know, it's a great experience for our guys to play in the Orange Blossom Classic and the 40th year of the Circle City Classic. So I really like to put together a very tough non-conference schedule to prepare us for the conference games. And then, you know, obviously, you know, if you have success in the non-conference games, you know, you have an opportunity to be ranked, you know, in top 25. So that's the big part for me as far as the scheduling. It's tough, it's brutal, but, you know, you don't get any respect for knocking out the little dudes, right?
Yeah, no,
Right.
you got to play the big ones, especially in the MEAC. You have to play many more non-conference games, and you have put together an excellent schedule. Campbell's on the schedule coming off the top of my head. Let me ask you this: you took over the program. 2019 was your first year, 4-8 in that particular season. But then in 2021, you were 6-5. I thought a couple of the bigger wins over your career, outside, of course, of the Jackson State win in the Celebration Bowl, the Alcorn State win in 2021 when you're talking about the MEAC SWAC Challenge, the A&T win to open the 2022 season to set you up for the national championship. A couple of things. What would you say are some of the signature wins over your years, and how did COVID? It seemed like you came out like game busters. 4-8, COVID year, 6-5, and you've taken it from there.
Right, had to. The administration put a little fire up under me, man. A little pressure. They talked about making some changes. So, well, you know, 2019, that's where all the gray hair came from, man. But that was probably the worst year of my life. But, you know, just we always want to see progress, and we just want to improve every year. And I think that we had a chance to do that. You know, I do very little. I do media and deal with the alumni. I got an outstanding coaching staff, and I don't call any plays. I let my coaches coach. And, you know, I can't say enough about the staff that I have and how good those guys are. And then, you know, our players, we talk about culture. And, you know, signature wins, I think that the Campbell game last year really, like, checked our temperature. We were down 21 in the first half, and, like, our kids never flinched. You know, and a lot of that's, you know, a testament to the culture. You know, guys not complaining, they're not pointing fingers. You know, we're just going to play it one play at a time and fight to get back in the game. So Campbell was probably a signature win. Obviously, you know, we have rivals with A&T, so whenever you get a win over A&T, that's always, you know, a big win. Of course, Jackson State. And then, you know, very rarely do HBCUs win non-conference out of their conference. So whenever you know, beating the PWIs, to me, that's huge. You know, we went on the road and played a top 10 New Hampshire team and beat them by 2 scores in 22. So, you know, when you look at the success rate with HBCUs playing the PWIs or non-conference, you know, the numbers usually aren't good. So whenever we play a non-conference team, you know, we really try to make sure we put our best foot forward.
No doubt about it. Last thought, I got about 30 seconds, and I know you can't really answer this in 30 seconds. What does it mean, however, to be at your alma mater and having the success that you're having?
I can't even put into words, man. My mom, dad went to school there. My wife went to school there. So for me to have an opportunity to have success at other places and then be able to come back to where it all started, and you know, my school gave me an opportunity, and I'm so grateful for that. And you know, we come back and then have success. You know, when I was able to win a lot of championships as an assistant coach under Rod Broadway, but like when you come home and you build your own program and put it together like you want to, and then have success and national champions and top 20, you know, team, that's huge, man. So I'm extremely excited for where we're headed. And again, it's administration, my coaches, and everybody. When everybody's, you know, working the same direction, it makes life a lot easier.
All right, we appreciate it, Coach Oliver.
Thank you, sir, man.
Give it up. Of course, Trey Oliver, the head football coach at North Carolina Central, joining us here on the Countdown to Kickoff. Up next here on the Countdown to Kickoff, Elizabeth City State head football coach Marcus Hilliard.
Oh, man. There's nothing I love more than a good trail mix. But a mountain bike trail, not so much. Oh, hey. My pedal. Wonder where the other one is.
From urgent care to your full recovery, Ortho Carolina is there every step of the way.
Good day, though. Good day.
I pledge.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
On my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
Deer Park is celebrating its 150th anniversary. Let's take a look back.
Deer Park, that's good water.
You can taste how pure Deer Park is.
Deer Park, that's good water.
Filtered naturally beneath the earth for a crisp, refreshing taste.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
That's still good water.
After 150 years, there's only one thing left to say. Deer Park, that's still good water.
How did you all get in here?
BOXTOROW's 7th Countdown to Kickoff is back. We're live at Sticks and Vines in Durham. And we're having a great time. Got a good crowd, some good supporters out here at Sticks and Vines. As a matter of fact, in the last segment, had a chance to catch up with Trey Oliver, the head football coach at North Carolina Central. Also in the previous segment, we caught up with Adrian Jones, the head football coach at Shaw. Making his second appearance, as a matter of fact, at this Countdown to Kickoff is Marcus Hilliard of Elizabeth City State in his third season as the head coach. The Vikings finished 3-7 last year, 2-6. But I'm going to tell you what, the Vikings are coming, and we're going to talk more about that. The Vikings open the season on the road on Saturday, August 31st against Shaw, as Coach Hilliard joins us here on the Countdown. What's going on, Coach?
Hey, man. I'm grateful to be here, man. I appreciate, as always, the invite to actually get around and be around the colleagues, man. So grateful for that.
It's a really good camaraderie, and we appreciate you coming out. I gotta ask you this, because I look at last season, and yeah, it was a tough season, but you ended the season on a high note. And by the way, this year you've been picked to finish 10th out of 11 teams in the CIAA, even though you had a good finish. So just your thoughts, and then I don't know if you've talked with your players about this. How do you all feel about being picked to finish 10th?
Well, I haven't actually talked to the players yet. I hadn't seen them. We put some things out there just to show them. But, I mean, you had when you go 3 or you win 3 games, it's kind of expected. But we all know, in that room or at that university, we know what type of team we have, and we know, a couple games here or there, we could have won 7 or 8 ball games. So we feel good about the team. We know being picked 10th out of 11 is not where we want to be, but it's the preseason. No, you don't win the championship for preseason, so we're going to be geared up and fired up and ready to go for this upcoming season.
You had to feel pretty good at least. I mean, I get it, 3 wins, but at the end of the day, you were in every single ball game last year.
Yeah, you're talking about 8 points or less in each of those games, and being able to just turn that corner. Like I said at the CIAA Media Day, year 1 was a time for me to kind of get and understand where we were as a team. Year 2, we're close, and now with year 3 is just trying to win those close ball games that we had and try to give it that hump, because it's like you said, we were in every game last year, and that was kind of the frustrating part, is that we were actually in those games, but now for year 3, being able to win those close games.
Let's talk some personnel in terms of some of the key players coming back to your team, and let's start on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, well, our quarterback, and he was injured last year, Chase Williams. He was just with me at the CIAA Media Day. He's the leader. He's been with me. He's kind of grown with me as a program. This is year 3 for him, and he'll be ready. And, of course, our preseason and all-CIAA pick, Zachariah Adams-Duxon is a beast for us, and he'll be looking to lead the way. And we also have some more players that offensively that we feel good about where they don't get all the recognition they deserve, but they'll be here. We got some key guys that'll be ready to contribute offensively for us.
And then defensive side.
Defensively, again, Tracy White, the leader of our defense, and again, I think we have 2 of the best linebackers in the CIAA with Demorian Smith as well. Like I said at the CIAA Media Day, defensive line will be anchored by Jason Williams, and in the backfield we'll have Nasir Douglas, a safety, a transfer guy that not only a great football player but a 4.0 student athlete. So we just feel good about that and what he'll bring to the defense this year.
This Down East Classic is really, really serious. I think pound for pound, one of the more underrated classics really in the country. It means it's played in Rocky Mount, not terribly far from Elizabeth City, thus Down East. It means a lot to that Rocky Mount community, and you've been a part of a lot of these. And this year, as a matter of fact, you're going to be hosting Fayetteville State, which I think Elizabeth City State has hosted Fayetteville State a number of times in this classic. Can you speak to what it actually means to that Rocky Mount community?
Well, as you stated, I've been a part of it as a player and as a coach, and now as a head coach. It's just big, just a great recruiting tool for the university, just to show our brand. They embrace us every year, and we enjoy being at the Down East Classic. Everybody gets up for that. It's like our first homecoming. Everybody talks about that, and we were able to still have that this year. And of course, playing Fayetteville State. Again, we've had some classic games with them, especially in that venue. So it just makes it just a great game and a great classic where we're able to bring the alumni out, the tailgating, the game, and just all the fanfare for that game. So just excited about having a Down East Classic, and it means a lot for that Rocky Mount community.
Marcus Hilliard is the head football coach at Elizabeth City State, joining us here on the countdown to kickoff. And, of course, thank you to those watching on Big Sports TV, those listening on Sirius XM College Sports Radio, Channel 84, and, of course, those right here at Sticks and Vines in Durham. The schedule is brutal. I mean, look, one home game. I mean, and I get it, the Down East Classic is sort of like a home game, but it's still away from Roebuck Stadium. So you got one home game in the first 6. But then you've got, 3 straight home games before ending the season on the road against Bluefield, who you beat last year. Yeah. But your thoughts, sort of on the schedule?
it's tough sometimes, having to be road warriors. You have to have a different mindset when you go on the road. But we're not going to let that deter our focus of what we got to get accomplished. As you said, our first 4 of our first 5 games are on the road. And even with the Down East being considered a home game for us, it's still a travel game. So it's tough. Our guys are used to it, and it's kind of how the schedule flipped for us this year. But we'll be ready. We'll be prepared, man. It's tough, but we'll get the guys ready to go and be some road warriors.
I think people sometimes will look at a record and it's 3-7, but I look at some of the other things. Winning 2 of your last 3 games, as a matter of fact, in every ball game. Some of the stuff you do on social media in terms of recruiting players and so forth. And like I told you before, I think I see you coming. I think 10th is low, but I get it.
Yep.
But that said, speak to maybe the recruiting class and some of the guys that you brought in and who you think may help you right away.
Well, we've brought in a number of recruits. I think one thing we do, we focus on North Carolina, of course. And we brought about 25 freshman student athletes in that we know that may not contribute right away, but we're trying to grow a program. And, they're the building blocks of the program, and we do have some transfer guys that we feel good about. Not ready to reveal them yet, but
okay. All right.
we feel good about those guys, and we're excited to come into camp and just see what we got. And like you said, the record it doesn't speak to as how well the team actually played and performed. We just got to find a way to try to get over that hump.
No divisions in the CIAA this year. You've been a division guy, right? Coached in the CIAA for many, many years. Your thoughts?
I'm fine with it. We played in the North, so it was a gauntlet anyway, playing Virginia Union, Virginia State, Bowie. So, it's what it is. We've played all the tough teams, and now, without the divisions, we're able to play everybody. So, for me, we've already had to play all the top teams in the league, so it is what it is.
How do you sort of navigate recruiting in terms of, to your point, 25 freshmen, that's really, really good in this day and age of college football and the transfer portal. But how do you sort of navigate that in the recruiting of freshman players or new players, as they were, or players that have never played college football to the program, and then also bringing in transfer players that have played college football before?
Well, it's a delicate balance now. As you know, with the transfer portal rules, guys are able to transfer how many times they want to. So we try to make it a balance as to, still being able to bring in that high school student athlete, but being able to build our team or plug in the holes with those with those transfer student athletes. So it's a balance, but that is the hand we've been dealt. And we don't make any bones about it. We just do what we have to do, and we take a look at our overall roster and see kind of where we need the help, and we try to plug and play.
One of the really good people in coaching is Waverly Tiller, and coached many, many years at Elizabeth City State. You played for him. I believe you were on his coaching staff early in your career. Speak to who Waverly Tiller means to you.
He's the GOAT, man, especially for Elizabeth City, how he was able to, during his tenure, turn that program around. And I was fortunate enough to learn, and he tutored me as to how to be a coach. He gave me opportunity, and, I was with him for those winning years that he had, and he still giving me the advice, and I can lean on him about certain situations that come up in coaching, man. And he's just been instrumental in my career, and especially for Elizabeth City.
No doubt about that. And then coaching at your alma mater, in your 3rd season. I know that's having been a player, and I think that's interesting because more than half of your coaching, or not just coaching, but as a player, or your life, I should say, it's been at Elizabeth City State.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to be the head coach at, in fact, Elizabeth City State?
It's a lot of pressure, man. Your friends, your family, everybody knows you. And, you know, the expectation is high. They're like, you went here, man. We expect this, and you know, it is what it is. But excited about that, man. I've said it before. Just having the opportunity. You know, I said as a player before, not even knowing that, you know, you'll be the head coach at your alma mater, man, and to get that opportunity is something special, man. And I'm just trying to capitalize on that and just make Elizabeth City great.
No doubt. So when do your guys report?
We will report August the 7th, and of course we play Shaw University on August 31st right here in Durham.
How excited? I know your guys, I'm sure, are going to be excited to kind of get back. What's sort of the off-season workouts or what have you been like?
Well, for us, we've had some guys in summer school. They've been able to get a chance to work out and, you know, lift and kind of get ready for the season. You know, so that's been pleasant for us. You know, we hadn't had that in the past where we had guys on campus. So it gives us an opportunity to, or it gives them an opportunity to get their bodies ready for the season. And with us having this week 0 game is coming fast. Usually, you know, we start in September, but now we have this week 0 game. So it's giving them an opportunity to get ready for that game.
And then the football in the CIAA. I think even when you were a player, it's really grown. There have been a lot of at-large berths to the playoffs, multiple berths to the Division II playoffs. How have you seen the CIAA grow?
The CIAA is up, man. We've having playoff teams and guys in the playoffs, and it's a great brand of football, man. And we're going to continue to excel in Division II, and you know, just watch out for the CIAA.
No doubt about it. We appreciate it, Coach Hilliard.
Yep, thank you.
Marcus Hilliard, give it up, the head football coach at Elizabeth City State, joining us here on the Countdown to Kickoff. Up next here on the Countdown to Kickoff, Fayetteville State head football coach Richard Hayes.
Oh, man. There's nothing I love more than a good trail mix. But a mountain bike trail, not so much. Oh, hey. My pedal. Wonder where the other one is.
From urgent care to your full recovery, Ortho Carolina is there every step of the way.
Good day, though. Good day.
I pledge.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
Deer Park is celebrating its 150th anniversary. Let's take a look back.
Deer Park, that's good water.
You can taste how pure Deer Park is.
Deer Park, that's good water.
Filtered naturally beneath the earth for a crisp, refreshing taste.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
That's still good water.
After 150 years, there's only one thing left to say. Deer Park, that's still good water.
How did you all get in here?
Welcome back to the Countdown to Kickoff, the 7th BOXTOROW Countdown to Kickoff. We're here at Sticks and Vines in Durham. I'm your host, Donal Ware, and thank you to those that are here at Sticks and Vines. As a matter of fact, thank you to those watching on Big Sports TV and those listening to us on Sirius XM. College Sports Radio, Channel 84. In his 9th season as the head football coach at Fayetteville State is Richard Hayes. The Broncos were 8-3 last year, 8-0 in the conference, played in another CIAA conference championship game. Broncos opened the season on Saturday, September 7th at home versus Pembroke, which is an excellent rivalry. As, of course, Coach Hayes joins us here on the Countdown to Kickoff. What's going on, Coach Hayes?
What's going on, man? Glad you could have me here. It's always a pleasure to be coming back to Durham, North Carolina, kind of where my roots started for me. I grew up right down the street, went to Fayetteville Street Elementary, all the good stuff. So glad to be here.
Yeah, and your uncle's Bill Hayes. We'll talk more about him. So 6 straight CIAA championship games. And look, I got it. You didn't come out victorious. Another strong season and a strong game. But now there are no more divisions. Your thoughts?
I really don't have any thoughts on that. We've always been one of the top 2 teams over the last couple of years, percentage-wise, record-wise. My motto is just keep playing and keep winning, and you'll be there. Don't worry about nothing else.
You picked to finish 3rd. I guess I'm assuming that doesn't sit well with you.
Hey, well,
6 straight 6 straight CIAA championship game appearances and a CIAA championship.
You're trying to poke me here, and I ain't gonna let you do it. But they picked us 3rd. It is what it is. They gotta play us. We gotta play the schedule. They gotta play the schedule. And everybody that's gonna play Fayetteville State knows they're gonna have to play. So they're gonna have to bring their A game.
Nope, heard that. Thoughts on last year's season, and again another CIAA championship appearance?
Well, I said the other day we started out our season with high aspirations. We started off against UNC Pembroke. It felt like we left a lot out on the field, a lot of meat on the bone that game. We lost by a field goal. We dropped 3 or 4 touchdowns wide open. Guys just dropped balls. And then the next week we played the national semifinalists in Lenore Ryan. And, you know, we turned the ball over, gave them the ball in some spots on the +8, +5. And anytime you turn the ball over against a good football team, you're not going to win it. So we started the season off 0-2. We kind of had to revamp some things going into conference play. And lo and behold, we were able to run 8 straight, win 8 straight games and get back to the CIAA championship to play Virginia Union, of course. So that's where we were.
Nice size recruiting class, 19 guys coming into the class this year. Any of those guys can really help you right away in terms of day one, and speak to really building a program as you've done in now 9 seasons at Fayetteville State.
First question, no, they're not. None of those guys should be able to help us this year. If we are, we're in trouble.
Okay.
But just building the program, we've always established our program from high school kids. We've never really been really big in the portal or dealing with transfers. We like to develop kids. That's kind of been our thing. As the college football landscape has changed, we've had to change a little bit. But we still have our base of recruiting is high school kids, and that's where we're going to continue with.
No, I think it's interesting. It's a question I'll ask you a little bit later on in terms of your really your coaching career. Let's talk personnel. So offensive guys, talk about some of those guys you expect to really, really be good and who your quarterback is.
Well, it all starts up front for us with Michael Todd. He's going into his 5th year. He's been a starting left tackle for us for the last 4 seasons. Ben Caldwell has been a 4-year starter for us. He's returning for his senior season. At quarterback, we're looking at Joe Owens. We still have Damari Daines and Caden Davis at the quarterback position, but Joe has won the job right now. We were relatively young at running back last year. We had some injuries. So Julian Milligan and Bryce Council, those young guys, they were redshirt freshmen last year. They carried the load for us in the ground game. Defensively, it's, again, our D-line is lights out right now. We got, and I hate to say it, I know AJ and them listening to me, but we got 19 or 20 good dudes that we can rotate at the D-line. Linebackers, we're looking at Elijah Casey, of course, you know, Shy Gaskins, Sean Robinson, Solo Barnes, and Kobe Merritt. Those guys are going to anchor our defense.
Let me speak to your schedule a little bit, because you only have 3 home games this year in a stretch where you play 3 straight games on the road.
Love to play on the road, number one, because on Friday night, we got more control of our team as it relates to a home game where they stand in their own rooms and we can't control them like that. So I love the 3 home games on the road. I mean, the 3 road games. What was the first part of the question?
Yeah, and then but only 3 home. I guess really only 3 home games.
Well, we gave one of our games up. We were supposed to host Elizabeth City, but we're going to go down to the Down East Classic. So that kind of took one of our games away.
No doubt about it. Of course, having a great conversation with Richard Hayes, the head football coach at Fayetteville State, as he joins us here on the Countdown to Kickoff. You speak about developing players, and there are not many players, or many coaches, I should say, that can say they helped to develop a guy that has been part of back-to-back Super Bowl championships. And Joshua Williams, cornerback, played for you, of course, now with the Kansas City Chiefs. Speak to who this young man was as part of your program in terms of development, and then how he helps in terms of recruiting.
Well, Josh is extraordinary in a whole lot of different ways. He's tall, he's fast, he's physical when he wants to be. He's silly, he's funny, he's a lot of different things. And he's taken that persona to the NFL, and I believe they're starting to fall in love with it. He did his Good Morning Football interview when nobody really knew who he was. And once he did that interview, man, everything else took off for him. So his personality, his athleticism, and the way he's a student of the game and the way he plays it right now, I'm really proud of him. He did a summer camp for us this summer, and he couldn't actually physically be there, but he made sure that he got on the big screen in the gym and was able to talk to the kids while he was in the locker room. And the kids were able to ask him questions, and he had some of the other Kansas City Chiefs walk through the interview, and it was really cool. So he's doing great things, and we continue to pray for him and continue to hope that he does the best for himself.
And again, development, recruiting. He's a Fayetteville kid, right?
Well, he's a Fayetteville kid, and every defensive back that comes through Fayetteville State now believes that they can go to the NFL. I don't know why. But they all feel like, because of Josh, I'm 6'1", 6'2", I'm going to get a shot, and they just don't understand that it's really hard to do.
True, but one of your guys is all conference though.
Yeah, and I hope he gets a shot. Kobe Merritt, he's first team all conference.
Yep.
He has the body. He'll test well. He'll knock any NFL test out the box. But it's all about opportunity and what they need at that particular time. So it's nothing guaranteed. You know how it is.
Yeah. Last thought on Joshua Williams. What did you see in him? What did you see in him that everybody else missed?
Well, we did a good job of recruiting him. He went to Palmetto Prep down in South Carolina first out of high school. And then I believe Coach Chris Holmes, who's now at Winston-Salem State coaching, but Coach Holmes discovered Josh, and he brought him in the office, and he was like, this kid is tall, and he's lanky, and he's skinny, but he could run really fast. And so we gave him a chance. That first year, he was kind of a spot player. He was behind some guys. And then that spring, he kind of evolved and took over at the field corner position, and the rest was history. And he played 3 good years for Fayetteville State, and he left. He had another year to come back and play. I wish he would have, but nah. But it just it talks about his development, and he was ready to go, so we gave him our blessing.
Couple of more thoughts with Richard Hayes, the head football coach at Fayetteville State. Known you a good while, going back to the A&T days when you were a player, and then, of course, a coach under your uncle, the legendary Bill Hayes. We'll talk more about that. But, I look at your career. You were out of coaching for a good little while, came to Winston-Salem State, did some great things as a defensive coordinator, and now have had so much success at Fayetteville State. What comes to your mind when you think over your career? Because, again, to me, you were out of coaching for a good little while, and you've made a good comeback.
Well, I say I've been blessed, man. I wasn't technically out of coaching. I was coaching high school. I was coaching my son. Was able to watch him go through high school and be able to get a scholarship and go on to play college football. So I was always around him. I coached Pop Warner for a little while just to make sure I stayed fresh and kept my game up. And then when I got the opportunity in 2010 to go with Coach Maynard, I was ready. It was no hesitation about it. I was ready to go.
Man, and then, again, putting this program together, a CIAA championship to boot. Bill Hayes, you talk about legendary coaches. He's your uncle. And, I mean, I just think back, he's up for the College Football Hall of Fame induction, I believe, or nomination. And if he's not, he should be. And he should be in, because I think what a lot of people also forget is that he was the first black coach in the ACC when he was an assistant coach at Wake Forest.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Who does Bill Hayes mean to you? Or who is he to you?
Man, he means everything to me. You know, ever since, you know, I lost my father at 19 years old, and my uncle made a promise to my mom that he was going to make sure that, you know, I didn't go the wrong way. There were a few times in life where I probably could have, but he was always right there to make sure, you know, hey, son, straighten up, let's do this the right way. And I always listened to him, you know. But now it's all about him every day calling, trying to say, you know, what are you doing different that's going to separate you from everybody else? I get that call every day. Like, are you going to be able to win doing it the way you doing it, or are you going to be able to change? So I get that every day. So I appreciate it. You know, I love him for it. And, you know, I hope he gets in every Hall of Fame year that they try to put him in. I know he's in 11 right now. So I hope he gets that number 12.
Coach Hayes, we appreciate the time.
Thank you. I appreciate you all.
Give it up, Richard Hayes, the head football coach at Fayetteville State. He is joining us here on the Countdown to Kickoff. Up next here on the Countdown to Kickoff, Johnson C. Smith, head football coach, Maurice Flowers.
Max has been practicing to be a professional soccer player his whole life.
I think I broke my knee! I think I broke my collarbone! I can do better. Let me take that from the top.
From your first real urgent care visit to full recovery, Ortho Carolina is there every step of the way.
I think I broke my ALC!
It's ACL. He's getting really good.
Deer Park is celebrating its 150th anniversary. Let's take a look back.
Deer Park, that's good water.
You can taste how pure Deer Park is.
Deer Park, that's good water.
Filtered naturally beneath the earth for a crisp, refreshing taste.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
Deer Park. Deer Park.
That's still good water.
After 150 years, there's only one thing left to say. Deer Park, that's still good water.
How did you all get in here?
The legacy began in 1973. That was the year NCAA Division II was born. And since the very first day, our division has shaped generations of student athletes with a true sense of academics, athletics, and community. That is 5 decades of graduations, championships, teamwork, and personal development. 50 years of shaping student athletes into world-class leaders. NCAA Division II. Our division, our legacy.
Oh man, there's nothing I love more than a good trail mix. But a mountain bike trail, not so much. Oh hey, my pedal. Wonder where the other one is.
From urgent care to your full recovery, Ortho Carolina is there every step of the way.
Good day though. Good day.
Richard Hayes, the head football coach at Fayetteville State, joined us in the last segment here on the Countdown to Kickoff. Once again, thank you to those watching on Big Sports TV, those listening to us on Sirius XM College Sports Radio, Channel 84, and those that are right here at Sticks and Vines for this event as we kick off the 2024 college football season. In his 3rd season as the head football coach at Johnson C. Smith is Maurice Flowers. Really good season by the Golden Bulls last year. 7-4 overall, 6-2. Played in some postseason play. We'll talk a little bit more about that. The Golden Bulls open the season Sunday, September 1st at the Red Tails Classic against Tuskegee in Montgomery, Alabama. That game is going to be on ESPNU as Coach Flowers joins us here on the Countdown to Kickoff. Coach Flowers, we appreciate the time.
Thank you very much for having me. I just always look forward to this event. It just really lets you know that the start of the season is upon us, and also it's just great to have all of these HBCUs and North Carolina together. These fantastic head coaches and their fan bases. It just really is a great event. Thanks for having it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming by. So look, 2023, I thought was a really, really good season for you, particularly in this respect. Last 3 games of the season, okay, you lost a close battle to Fayetteville State, who ended up winning the Southern Division. Winston-Salem State, if I remember correctly, was sort of still in the race for the Southern Division. You won that game. You beat Livingstone, your rival, in the commemorative classic. And all of that put you in position to be in the first ever Florida Beach Bowl. Your thoughts on 2023?
My thoughts are it's natural progression of building a program. I like to think that some of the experience that we've gained comes from the high school level. I still think I'm a high school football coach. I like to build with high school players and build them up like you have a JV, then a varsity, and I consider the transfer portal guys, they're the varsity guys. But we're going to build with the high school young men. In our first recruiting class, we had 53, and those guys, we don't win a bunch of games with the young guys. So we just went through the process of learning. We don't lose, we learn. And so we learned a lot the first year, lost 6 games by 1 score overtime the first year. So we were knocking on the door. And then, so what you see is just a progression of just staying with your plan, staying with the process and believing in it. Because if you start a process and then you change it, you didn't believe in it in the first place. So we believe in our process and we've stuck with it. And also, we have a coaching staff that's really one of the places where it started. We have great administration support from our president, Ken Locke, and then our new athletic director. They support us with our coaching staff. You had Richard Hayes on here. I tell you, half of our staff came from Fayetteville State. And you talked about Coach Hayes going to 6th straight. I'm glad to say that we've got coaches from there. Our defensive coordinator, Barry Tripp, Coach Hayes recruited him out of high school. He won plenty of championships there, and then he was with Coach Hayes and his first staff going to Fayetteville State. David Bowser, who was he was at Fayetteville State for a while, and he was on Coach Hayes' staff, and then he left to go be the head coach and AD at St. Aug, and then James Lott, who was defensive back coach and special teams coordinator for Coach Hayes. All of those guys are at Johnson C. Smith, so we've built a staff that has championship level experience, and so we just think we have a lot of good teachers. And so to finish the season the way we did with the win over Winston, anytime you beat those Rams, it's big. I mean, I'm a Johnson C. Smith alum, and so in my 4 years playing, I never beat Winston. So I didn't beat Winston until I started coaching at Fayetteville State. And so my players had not beat Winston. So to beat Winston is always big. And play Fayetteville State tough. We feel like we're knocking at the door. They're the standard. And then to beat Livingstone, I don't even like to call them Livingstone. That team. That's our rival, and it means something to beat them. We don't like to say their name, but that's a good win. And didn't need any overtime this time. Let's go ahead and jump in the way they're supposed to get jumped. Yes, sir. So just a lot of good momentum for us to finish the season. But again, just a progression of building a program, taking the proper steps.
Maurice Flowers, the head football coach at Johnson C. Smith. In his 3rd season, he joins us here on the Countdown to Kickoff schedule. I like to look at trends when I look at the schedule. So, I mean, you've got, I guess, a few back-to-backs, but then 3 of your last 5 games are at home.
Yes, sir. Well, we have really went through the progression of being a young team, and then last season I consider us a young old team, and now I can say we're an experienced team. So I think our schedule now it's going to reflect that. We really didn't at our first year we didn't want this schedule. We weren't ready for that schedule, but now that we've gained a little bit of experience and had more time around each other and been through a bunch of learning experiences, it feels good to be able to now you can say you really want to protect your home. And, we have some of our toughest game there. We've got those Broncos coming in. Again, we know that's going to be a tough one. And we're, wow, we're just excited about the schedule. Every game's a big game, and especially now with there's being just one conference and no north or south. It's every game is a big game. And then we're starting the season off with 2 SIAC opponents, and we're looking forward to that. We want to represent the CIAA very well.
Yeah, how does your experience in the SIAC at Fort Valley State Tuskegee's has a really that's the winningest program in HBCU history.
Yes.
Right? How being the head coach at Fort Valley State help you against the SIAC opponents?
Well, I wish it would have helped more in the doggone bowl game, but it helps a lot, especially with Tuskegee, because the athletic director, who was the former head coach and the now head coach, we worked together at Miles College. Reggie Ruffin was the head coach at Miles. He hired me as his OC. in 15 and 16, and we were fortunate enough to win a SIAC championship in 15. So when and matter of fact, Reggie Ruffin probably, I want to say, has about 14 championships, about 4 as a player, 5 as a DC at Tuskegee, and then 5 at Miles College. So he's a winner. And so he was when he went to Tuskegee his first year, he was the athletic director and head coach. Then he stepped down, and the young man that took over as the head coach is a Tuskegee alum, Aaron James. He's a quarterback there. He won 4 SIAC championships as a player. So they're experienced, but it does help because we've sat in rooms on Sunday and game plan together. We've won together, we've lost together, so there is going to be some familiarity. But the same way, I'm at my alma mater, and you know, there's a different sense of pride when you're at your alma mater. But he's at his alma mater, and hey, like you said, Tuskegee, the winningest HBCU there is, and we have the experience that when we were at Fort Valley, we played in the first Red Tails Classic, and we were fortunate enough to come away with a 30-0 record. But this is a different coaching staff, a different team, and one thing about when you get ready to play Tuskegee, it's more than just playing the team on the field. Their band, one of the biggest bands I've ever seen, and they're loud. I wish the referees would. I hope they're ready to throw some flags because they play all the time, and so we're going to need some flags, and they have a great following. So I'm glad our young men are going to get a chance to experience just everything about playing Tuskegee.
Let's talk some personnel, and you've got a young man, Benari Black, linebacker, all CIAA, 82 tackles on last year, perhaps the anchor of your defense.
Yes, Benari came to us from UNC Pembroke. He's a Charlotte guy. One of the things we wanted to do when we took over was to recruit the city of Charlotte, and we did that with every class, and he came to us after our first season, and Benari, he brings it every single day, and he made first team all CIAA last season, and his running mate, starting linebacker Jack Smith, he's back also. He made second team all CIAA. So our defense, we bring back 9 out of 11, and we're excited about them. We look for them to improve upon last year, but Benari, he's good against the run, good against the pass. I'm excited for him because he's had a really, really strong summer. And so we just think we're going to be an older, more mature team at really most positions. So I'm excited for these young men to show the hard work that they put in, and we're looking to go see if we can earn some victories.
Let's talk offense. Who's your quarterback? Let me ask you, does Brevin Caldwell come back for you?
Oh, yes. Brevin Caldwell's a junior.
He's a junior. Wow,
yes.
So he comes back really, really good. Wide receiver. Who's your quarterback? And then talk about some of the other key players offensively.
Well, you talk about the quarterback. Heck, I wish I knew who he was because I thought at one time I was a quarterback guy. I thought I coached him pretty well, but these last couple of years I can't tell. But we've got a good quarterback battle going on. Really, our offense changed after week 2 when the young man Tyrell Jackson, he came with us from Fort Valley State, very good quarterback, but he had to retire after game 2. With multiple concussions, and so that forced us to have to play some young guys, and we played we freshmen and young sophomores that hadn't had snaps, and so it caused us to have to go from an offense that we wanted to be 60-40 pass to run, where we had to flip it because we didn't want to help the young guys into some mistakes. So it just made us adjust on the run, and really the most explosive part of our offense has been the receiving core. Brevin Caldwell, you mentioned, we had another all-CIAA receiver, and Reggie Bryant, and just a strong core. But we didn't feel like we could get him enough touches. Hopefully now we can. Our receiving core is going to be led by Brevin Caldwell again, who as a freshman he was all-CIAA, and his numbers took a dip because of the quarterback and the offense adjustment. And we brought in a young man. His name is Biggie Proctor, DeAndre Proctor. He came from St. Aug, one of the players that left there. He's about 6'3", 215, and he has a great work ethic. And we're looking forward to the receiving core that we have. And then when you look at the running back position, we've got some new ones at the running back position. We were fortunate enough to get a guy that was a player of the year in the state and the country named Quavaris Crouch. From Charlotte guy, won a state championship at Harding High School and went to Tennessee. Then he transferred to Michigan State, played linebacker, and he said, "Coach, I want to come home, but I want to play running back." And I said, "Well, hey, who am I to say no?" So we're going to have him at tailback, and then we were fortunate enough to get another tailback named Camaro Edmonds. He's from Havelock High School, went to Chapel Hill, then transferred to East Carolina, and we're just glad to get him on campus. And we have another St. Aug young man who does a running back named Avante George. So, but can't do anything about the big boys up front. And we bring back 4 out of 5 starters in the offensive line. So we have Defense comes back with 9. Offense is bringing back 9 also. So we have to improve offensively, and we want to throw the ball well. You know me, I want to throw it. And so we hope to be able to throw it a lot more this season.
Johnson C. Smith, head football coach. Maurice Flowers joining us here for a couple of more moments here on the countdown to kickoff. Being from Charlotte,
yes,
number 1, playing quarterback in a good one at your alma mater, Johnson C. Smith, and you played basketball, I'm assuming under Coach Joyner.
Yes.
I mean, speak to that. It's hard enough to play one sport, but 2 at a high level, and just kind of being, again, a Charlotte guy and being now the head coach at your alma mater.
Well, it's a lot of pride that goes into it. I'm a proud Charlottean. I'm proud to be from the QC. I'm proud to represent my city. I went to middle school in Charlotte, went to high school at East Meck High School, and then I went to JCSU. So there is a strong sense of pride for me in my city, and to represent it. It's also one of the reasons that we recruit Charlotte very, very well. If you look at most colleges, not just the outstanding coaches and programs here today, but you look at most Division I programs from all over, they come to Charlotte to recruit athletes. And so we're going to try to take care of home first. So I have a lot of pride in our city and in our program. Johnson C. Smith, as you know, does not have the tradition that so many of our other HBCUs have in football. So to build a school that right now, we're not talking about championships, we're talking about winning things every single day, and those will lead to wins. And so we're looking to try to have a better season than we did last year. And so that's going to bring them out of pride. Going to the bowl game and having to be able to look and see there were watch parties going on in Charlotte at different sports bars and things like that, it really just touched me in a special way. So we're just looking to continue to build.
We appreciate the time, Coach Flowers.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Give it up for Johnson C. Smith head football coach Maurice Flowers for joining us here on the countdown to kickoff. Up next, Winston-Salem State head football coach Robert Massey.
Max has been practicing to be a professional soccer player his whole life.
Do better. Let me take that from the top.
From your first real urgent care visit to full recovery, Ortho Carolina is there every step of the way.
I think I broke my ALC.
It's ACL. He's getting really good.
Deer Park is celebrating its 150th anniversary. Let's take a look back.
Deer Park, that's good water.
You can taste how pure Deer Park is.
Deer Park, that's good water.
Filtered naturally beneath the earth for a crisp, refreshing taste.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
Deer Park. Deer Park.
That's still good water.
After 150 years, there's only one thing left to say. Deer Park, that's still good water.
How did you all get in here?
The legacy began in 1973. That was the year NCAA Division II was born. And since the very first day, our division has shaped generations of student athletes with a true sense of academics, athletics, and community. That is 5 decades of graduations, championships, teamwork, and personal development. 50 years of shaping student athletes into world-class leaders. NCAA Division II. Our division, our legacy.
Oh man, there's nothing I love more than a good trail mix. But a mountain bike trail, not so much. Oh hey, my pedal. Wonder where the other one is.
From urgent care to your full recovery, Ortho Carolina is there every step of the way.
Good day though. Good day.
Maurice Flowers. Nope, hold on, not yet. Maurice Flowers, the head football coach at Johnson C. Smith, joining us in the last segment here on the countdown to kickoff. This is the 7th BOXTOROW HBCU countdown to kickoff. I'm your host, Donal Ware. Once again, thank you to those watching on Big Sports TV, those listening to us on SiriusXM College Sports Radio, Channel 84. Robert Massey is in his 4th season as the head football coach at Winston-Salem State. The Rams 4-6 on last year, 4-4 in the CIAA. Opened the season Saturday, August the 31st at Bluefield State as Robert Massey joins us here on the countdown to kickoff. What's going on, Coach Massey?
Well, it's been a long day. Obviously, unfortunately, we had a young man that played for us a few seasons ago that was killed in an accident, and his home going was today. But we made the commitment to be here, and that's our plan. So, other than that, we're hanging in there.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I know it has been a tough day for you and in the Winston-Salem State family. And we thank you for being here. I think this may be your, even going back to the show, maybe your 4th or 5th one out of 7. So always appreciate you coming up for this. Thoughts on 2023?
Well, we lost some close games. Injuries kind of hurt us early on. I saw Coach Oliver in here earlier. They beat us up bad that first game. We actually lost a couple starters that game for the season. So we had some young guys come in and play, and they played well. But eventually, we lost 4 games, conference games, a total of 15 points. So those guys got a chance to play earlier than we had depended on and planned on them playing. So that helped us a little bit for this upcoming year. But, again, we were 500 in the conference, and we look to build off of that for this upcoming season.
You've got some guys coming back, a couple of defensive linemen. You talk about Kamar Cowell. He had 15.5 sacks for loss last year. Jalen Norris. Talk about those guys coming back, anchoring the defense, and how strong you think the defense will be in 2024.
Well, a year ago, offensively, we were 3rd in the conference in scoring. So we feel we can continue to do that with the weapons that we have on offense. Last year, our defense was challenged, and that was our goal this year is to plug that up. So bringing a guy in like Jalen Norris, of course, Kamal is coming back. And then we got a guy that was an all-conference player a year ago at St. Augustine's, and Jamison Austin. So he's a linebacker. So those guys are going to help solve a problem that I really have a problem with being a defensive guy. So we can solidify our defense, I think we'll be fine.
Justin Fleming, defense.
Yes.
Now, does he play corner or safety?
He's a safety, but,
okay.
There are certain situations where, defensively, scheme-wise, he'll be on the outside because he'll have that responsibility. And a lot of times, it's not to give anything away. It's probably man for him, but he's a talented kid, and he helps us do a lot of things defensively.
Quarterback, Dalen Lee, right? Like, you look at the numbers last year. Kid was a true freshman.
Yeah.
And you've got some guys, the kid, his name is escaping me, that played, that the Lincoln quarterback, Isaiah Freeman, was also a true freshman going back a couple of years ago. It's rare when you have guys that are true freshmen to come in and play that quarterback position the way this young man did. 18 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions, threw for over 1,800 yards. What more are you asking him to do in 2024?
5,000 yards. No, but seriously, Dalen's a smart young man. He came from a good football program. He's out of Shelby, North Carolina. He's actually grown this summer. He's got a little bigger. He's probably standing now about 6'4", about 210 pounds. But his biggest attribute was he's an intelligent guy. He understood going in how to protect the ball, how to move the ball, and he can run. See, everybody thought he was just a pocket passer, but he showed over the course of the season that he could run the ball, and we hurt some teams with that. So what we're doing now is we're surrounding him with talent in terms of, improving offensive line-wise, improving receiver-wise, as well as adding some running backs to the mix.
This seemed to me it was a big jump in terms of what you were able to do last year. So in other words, from 22 to 23, nice jump, opposed to maybe what happened in 22. So do you sort of see that progression, that type of progression, in coming in 24 and being in the upper echelon of the CIAA?
Well, I do, because you look at the teams that we lost to a year ago, they're pretty good programs. Obviously, Fayetteville State and John C. Smith had an outstanding season, and those were close games for us. So we feel like we're growing. We grew a little bit, and having a young quarterback coming back in the same offense a year later, we're expecting big things and great things from him. And he's, obviously he's our franchise guy, but at the same time, we're trying to surround him with some talented guys to help him. We don't want to put all the pressure on him, but at the end of the day, he is the heartbeat of the team. He's the quarterback. He touches the ball more than anybody other than the center. So we want to make sure he can get rid of that ball in the event, there's some pressure on him, because people want to eventually start coming at him and trying to give him different looks and things of that nature. And that's some of the things that he's worked on this past spring. So we feel good about the direction with Dayton Lee as our starting quarterback.
Other key guys on offense, on the offensive side of the football, that you expect to do big things for you this upcoming season?
Well, I saw one in here earlier, Keith Quick. Is he still in here? he need to hear this. But anyway, we expecting big things from him because he's going to be protecting the blind side of the quarterback, obviously. But, you know, we brought in some guys, too. Traylon Mitchell is a transfer from Virginia Tech University, so he's a running back, so he's going to add to that. You know, one of the things we were looking for a year ago, and when these injuries piled up, it kind of took away our home run hitters. So now we'll have guys that once they touch the ball, they can go the distance no matter where we at on the field. And I think as a former defensive guy, defensive coordinator, you have to keep that in the back of your mind. So you don't want to keep them in the defense in a bunch of man situations where these kids can show their athletic ability. It can hurt you.
Of course, Robert Massey, the head football coach at Winston-Salem State, joins us here on the countdown to kickoff. I want to talk a little bit, get away from Winston just a bit, talking about that role, talking about your playing days at North Carolina Central, because you were like a really, really good player, all-conference player, all-American, drafted, went to the league, all-rookie, Pro Bowl player, right? Coach Jones shouted you out. He said, hey, when I committed to North Carolina Central, I remember when Robert Massey played at North Carolina Central, one of the reasons I went to Central. What do you remember about those playing days at NCCU?
Well, you know, for me, college, and I even tell kids this when I recruit today, that was the best 4 years of my life. You know, I had a chance to get an education, paid for it. I got a chance to travel, what little we did back then, and I got a chance to see the world because of football. It paid for the education. It put me in a position to provide, take care of the people that I love, my family. So I'm very grateful and blessed. You know, Henry Lattimore was my head coach. Robert Stonewall Jackson was the assistant coach, and John Outlaw. Those guys, those three that really jump out, that had a lot of influence in me in terms of wanting to be a coach once I left the game of football. And just the dealings that they had with me that changed my life, that gave me direction in life and purpose. I remember that, and I try to do that now as a coach.
How different is not just the CIAA, but football and college football in particular now than it was when you were playing?
Oh, it has changed. I'm going to talk about Maurice Flowers. They got that offense where they're linemen 3 yards downfield and then they throwing the ball. We couldn't do that 40 years ago, so it's really changed. But that's all for the better of the game. You know, you got to find a way to promote the safety of the game as well as keep scoring. Offense is what sells, so we all know that. And everything trickles down, unfortunately, from the NFL because they're dealing with grown men. Then they're trickling down to young men at the collegiate and high school level. So you have to have some degrees of difficulties of changing those rules. But at the end of the day, that's good for the sport.
Playing in the league, again, I mentioned all rookie, Pro Bowl player. The great Michael Irvin once said, you were the toughest corner he faced in his career. That's Michael Irvin, right, that said that. What do you remember about those days in the league?
Well, you know, when you're playing Division II football, you get a chance to see the D1 guys before your games, because our games were in the evening. So, you know, just watching those guys, you would say, you know what, I can play with those guys. I can compete against those guys. So when I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity and the chance to do it, I tried my best to be the best I could be. And it worked out. You know, there were some times, you know, he won some battles, I won some battles, lost some battles, I won some battles as well. But again, just to have the opportunity to go to the National Combine back in 1988 and then perform with guys like Coach Prime and those guys, and then to actually be on an all-pro team with them, all-rookie team with them, it was a dream come true. And, you know, again, what I've done over the course of my career and coming back to the state of North Carolina and being a high school coach and being a black college coach in particular, I've had and supported combines so kids can get that opportunity to live that dream. Because for me, it started out as a dream, and anything you do in life starts out as a dream. It becomes a goal, and then you have to implement a plan to see it through. Well, same thing with coaching. But again, for me to have that experience and now to be able to come back, and years later, I've been coaching several historical black schools and having the chance and opportunity to influence those guys, hopefully in a positive manner. Feel good about the guy looking in the mirror every morning.
What do you tell guys when they, young guys in particular, maybe even some of your players, when they say, Coach, I want to play on the next level. I want to play in the National Football League?
Well, one of the things we have to have an honest conversation about is the level of talent that you're playing with and competing against, and then the commitment. It is a little different. You know, I tell guys all the time, you know, and I use the annex, it's not like that. That heel's not even like that. That heel's this way. It is very tough because a lot of the guys that are now in the NFL, a lot of the trainers, a lot of the scouts, they're not used to the historical black schools drafting them. That's why we have that drop. See, before you had guys like Tank Younger, guys like that were products of historical black colleges on staffs in the NFL would say, hey man, you need to go look at this kid. That kid's name was Jerry Rice. Hey man, you need to go look at that kid. That kid's name was Donal Evans. So again, to have guys that come from our historical black schools to get in the front offices at the on the NFL teams, then we get a chance to get our kids the opportunity of the next level, because there is next level talent in our conference as well as in the MEAC, but because the lack of exposure, even today, those kids may not get that shake or that look that a kid from UNC Chapel Hill may get.
Why was it important? No, I think that's interesting. Why was it important to you to, again, as a Central grad, to come back and coach at the HBCU level, in particular, because in '98 you were an assistant defensive backs coach with the New York Giants.
Yes.
So why was it important for you to kind of come back and give back, if you will, at the HBCU level?
True story, and I don't think I ever said this personally. Publicly. Jason C. Horn, outstanding cornerback. Well, I had a conversation with him as a player, and I was his assistant coach, and he wasn't as attentive as I would have liked him to have been at that particular time. But then, over the course of the game, I stayed in his ear, and he got it right, and that was the first time he said, "Appreciate that, coach." Well, I knew if I came back to our HBCUs, small schools, and I had the tag of being a former NFL Pro Bowler and a coach in the National Football League, that kid's eyes are that big. He'll listen to everything I have to say. He'll take it and run with it. And that's what you want in coaching. Guys is going to give you a chance to coach them up, teach them things not only about football, but about life that will change their life. And that's what I saw when I came back to North Carolina.
Back to Winston-Salem State in your role as the head coach. What is it gonna take this year? You made the jump from 22 to last year, a positive jump. Right. What is it? I mean, what specifically maybe is it going to take to now make that next jump in 24?
Well, I think, just reflecting off a season ago, we've been able to add talent to the roster to make us competitive within. And then we need some luck, like everybody. We need to be injury-free. Obviously, it's no secret we got to protect Dale and Lee, but at the end of the day, we need some guys. A year ago, we lost, Zaire Falls, starting offensive line. McClendon, starting offensive line. So we lost our whole right side on the offensive line in that first game against North Carolina Central. So we're hoping this year, because we are at summer school lifting, running, and conditioning, and bonding as a team, these type things won't happen, and that greatly increase our chances of having a winning season.
And then when do your guys report?
Our official report date is August 5.
August 5th. I know I guess you're in communication with some of these guys, and I know they probably, I'm assuming, are ready to get rocking and rolling, particularly those guys that really excelled for you in 23.
Definitely. Well, one of the things I mentioned earlier is we're in summer school right now, so they're lifting and going to class and things of that nature, and conditioning with our strength and conditioning coach, Kerry Harper, who's also a North Carolina Central alum as well. And the beauty in that is they'll get out for 1 week, they go home, they kiss mom, their family members, tell them goodbye, and they come right back to camp, ready to work. So we're excited about that, because now we don't have the big gap in between that we've had in the past. So, it's hard to get them in shape, but it's easy to get out of shape. So you got a week off, you still be ready when you come back on the 5th. And that's what we're looking forward to, having a good, productive, strong camp, and then carry that right into the season.
And then, like I've asked several of the other coaches, your thoughts on the CIAA doing away with divisions?
Well, it was already on the burner. I think 25 was going to be the official year, but unfortunately with the problems that they had at St. Augustine's, it kind of pushed us in that direction, and that's an unfortunate thing. But, again, we play each other anyway, so it don't matter. Just me personally, it reduces the number of kids you get to honor from an all-conference standpoint, because normally you have the North-South, then you can have the all-conference team as well, whereas now you just have 44 guys. Normally we would honor 88 guys, with football being such a big sport and so many players that we need to say we appreciate you, thank you, by having them being named all conference. It makes a world of a difference for me personally, but it doesn't change what we do every Saturday.
All right, we appreciate it, Coach Massey.
Thank you.
Give it up, Robert Massey, the head football coach at Winston-Salem State, joining us here on the Countdown to Kickoff. Up next here on the Countdown to Kickoff, North Carolina A&T head football coach Vincent Brown.
Man, there's nothing I love more than a good trail mix. But a mountain bike trail, not so much. Oh, hey, my pedal. Wonder where the other one is.
From urgent care to your full recovery, Ortho Carolina is there every step of the way.
Good day, though. Good day.
I pledge.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
Deer Park is celebrating its 150th anniversary. Let's take a look back.
Deer Park, that's good water.
You can taste how pure Deer Park is.
Deer Park, that's good water.
Filtered naturally beneath the earth for a crisp, refreshing taste.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
That's still good water.
After 150 years, there's only one thing left to say. Deer Park, that's still good water.
How did you all get in here?
Robert Massey, the head football coach at Winston-Salem State, joining us in the last segment here on BOXTOROW's 7th countdown to kickoff. We are live from Sticks and Vines in Durham. We have come to our last coach, but not least coach, of course, Vincent Brown, the head football coach of North Carolina A&T, is in his second season. The Aggies going to open the season on Thursday, August the 29th at Wake Forest as Coach Brown joins us here on the countdown to kickoff. His second. He's been here back-to-back years. What's going on, Coach Brown?
How you doing, Don?
I'm doing
Thanks
great.
Thanks for having me, yeah.
Absolutely. Glad to have you. And let me start here. What did you sort of learn about yourself as a first-year head coach last year, particularly at North Carolina A&T?
I think probably the thing that stood out most for me is I never realized that I was kind of the micromanager, like the details of what I was looking for. I had my hands in everything, and you know, when you want it to look a certain way and you're not getting what you want, then you kind of dive right in.
And then, of course, your thoughts on the 2023 season.
Yeah, you know, that's in the history books. We're looking forward. You know, I look at the growing pains of what that looked like, understanding that we had some games that were very winnable throughout the course of the season against some really talented teams. And so in my mind, I know we're not that far away with the kids that we've added to our program. Really, really excited about what this season looks like.
You know, I thought one of those games you talked about, especially being right there, and you talk about, you know, that game against Delaware, like you're right there. I guess that's sort of what you're talking about, being in a lot of those games, especially in the first season in the CAA, the toughest conference in FCS.
Oh, yeah. You know, not only the Delaware game, but if you go back and look at our game against Rhode Island on the road, you know, we're there. We're literally driving the ball to go ahead with the go-ahead touchdown or to win it on a 2-point play, and we turn the ball over at the very end there. So there's some really encouraging things about the lessons we learned, and I'm excited about this upcoming season.
Speak to, you have a new offensive coordinator in David Marsh. Speak to what he brings to the table.
Very, very innovative mind and understands how to craft the plan to take advantage of the talent that we have. And, you know, if you look at his background, some years, you know, they've been really, really good throwing the football, and some years they've been amongst the best in the country at rushing and running the football. And so really excited about what I've seen from the spring and heading into training camp.
Yeah, the spring was really, really good. You know, I think what's interesting is, if I'm not mistaken, you didn't have a prior relationship with Coach Marsh, correct? And generally in this, you know, profession, in the business, you generally have, you know, prior relationships, which goes to the hire of an offensive coordinator, assistant coach, et cetera. What jumped out about Coach Marsh to you?
You know, as you're going down your checklist of the things that are important, and he started checking off the boxes, you know, HBCU experience, check that box. Top rushing offense, check that box. You know, great quarterback play, check that box. And so when you start looking at all the things the boxes that he checked, and then, you know, there's a lot of relationships that come into the decision also. And so when you know people that know him and they say, oh, he's your kind of guy, that carries a lot of weight also.
Yeah, of course, coached at Texas Southern last year, had the Owens kid at running back, had Body at the quarterback position, and really put up some really significant numbers, did Texas Southern offensively. You know, the running, as you know, but the running back staple, I mean, you know, A&T known as running back you. Mm-hmm. You have some good ones. Kenji Christian, Wesley Graves comes back. That's just two of the guys that come back. Speak to those two guys in particular and the depth at the running back position.
Yeah, so we really want to be a physical running team to be able to control the football and the clock, and having Kenji and Wes and Shamik Blizzard, who played a little bit last season and got in and showed some explosiveness. We got a freshman, Daniel Coles, that I'm really, really excited about. I think our guys have embraced what we want to be offensively, and watching Kenji grow, watching Wes, you know, become a really physical downhill runner is going to allow us to play the kind of football we want to play.
3 quarterbacks hit the transfer portal. We've been talking about the transfer portal. 3 quarterbacks hit the transfer portal for you, but I think in part because, look, Kevin White looked really, really good last year as a true. We talked about true freshman. Talked about that with Coach Massey. He had a true freshman last year. He looked good. He got injured. So speak to specifically Kevin White and your expectations for him in 2024.
Well, he's grown so much just in the last 6-7 months, going through the winter conditioning program, spring practice, and during the player-led workouts throughout the summer here. He has a greater grasp of what it takes to be a college quarterback now. Last year just kind of operated off of his natural talent, but has a greater grasp of what it takes to be a college quarterback. He's got really good football IQ. He can run. He's got a really good arm. And so just expecting significantly more plays from Kevin this year.
And you used the transfer portal to add depth, but really specifically at the quarterback position.
We did. We signed Justin Fomby, who's 6'3", close to 6'4", played a lot of football on the collegiate level, very intelligent, really talented passer, great teammate. He's brought so much to our team in the short time that he's been here, being a mentor to Kevin and some of the other younger quarterbacks on our team, and then literally just kind of showing what leadership is like for the offense. So really excited.
And we know that the running backs will aid, Kevin White in terms of him getting more acclimated with the offense. Wide receivers, speak to that the position in particular. You actually have a couple of guys that are coming back as well.
We do. We have Jakari Caldwell, who's 6'4", just under 200 pounds, can go up, great catch radius. Monty Jones is back, you know, a slot receiver that has some phenomenal catches for us last season. So we're counting on them. But we also signed some really talented kids that I'm really, really fired up about. Cortez Lane is, you know, a dynamic ball-in-hand guy with tremendous speed. Corbin Wilson, 6'2", 210-pound, great long speed and athleticism. And I think you'll see those kids really contribute this season.
Vincent Brown, of course, the head football coach at North Carolina A&T, joins us here on the countdown to kickoff. Defense, and in particular the secondary. I mean, yeah, you lose a kid in a variant cold, but man, you got some. That secondary is going to be really, really good, anchored by Karan Prunty, one of the best corners in the country. Talk about the experience and how important that back end is in terms of having that experience to, as far as the whole defense is concerned.
It's huge. You know, I feel like we should have the best secondary in the conference. We have all seniors and graduate students back there that have played a lot of football. Their understanding of what we're trying to do defensively has grown exponentially. They can all run. They all have length. They have size. They're competitive. This offseason's been tremendous because having KP back and Ty Williams and David Laney, Janai Sumter, Aaron Harris has been a real bonus in teaching our younger players what it should look like. So our secondary should really be one of the strengths of our team.
You know, last season was a tough season, and you know that Aggie fan base is extremely passionate, no question about that. What do you sort of say to that fan base to kind of, you know, calm them a bit, let them know that things are going to be different in 24, but that it also takes time to build a program?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we all want to win right out the gates. You know, our goal was to win every single game we were in last year. And when you go back and look at some of the ways we lost games, you'd say, okay, well, hopefully those are learning lessons for our players and coaches as well. I think the growth that I've seen in our program, from what we've done in the classroom, having the highest GPA the team has had in probably 12, 15 years, to the community service aspect, those all lay the foundation for great teams. Because great teams, there's no I, it's about we, us, and ours. And when kids understand that, they fight for each other. And so I'll say to our fan base that I'm very excited and very confident that we'll put a product on the field that they'll be excited about this season.
Getting away momentarily from your role as the head football coach at A&T, let me take you back to your days at Mississippi Valley State. Now, I didn't have a chance to see you play, but if somebody has a nickname of the Undertaker, they must have been really, really good. By the way, played in the National Football League, made, what, three Pro Bowls, was really, really good. But now you're up, has been nominated for the College Football Hall of Fame, which is a really, really high honor, particularly coming from an HBCU. What your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great honor just to be mentioned in, you know, the same conversations with some of the greats that have ever played. And, you know, we were part of a really successful program during my time, had great teammates and great support, and was just blessed with the opportunity to grow and develop into a good player. And you know, I'm excited just to be nominated.
No doubt. And back to the A&T piece, use of the transfer portal for you. We talked about from a quarterback perspective, but you know, talk about using the portal for other needs that need to be filled.
Yeah. So you know, our philosophy, my philosophy, is to try to build our team through high school recruiting and then supplement our team through the portal. And so, you know, we felt like we've done a pretty good job this first true cycle of doing that, adding a veteran quarterback in Justin Fomby, a veteran offensive lineman in R.J. Adams, a veteran defensive tackle in DeAndre Dingle Prince. And we really felt like those guys are going to come in and add significant impact to us at performance and leadership for
opening the season, ACC opponent Thursday, August the 29th. I know you and your players got to be excited about that.
Yeah, anytime you get a chance to play, and then you get a chance to go right down the road to Winston-Salem to play Wake Forest, ACC opponent, be a really good measuring stick to where we have grown over the course of the season. And I know our guys will be chomping at the bit, and we expect to win every game that we play in, and so we'll go out and do our absolute best to win that game.
Give it up for Vincent Brown, the head football coach of North Carolina A&T, joining us here on the Countdown to Kickoff. We appreciate the time.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right, we've got more of the Countdown to Kickoff on the other side. Oh, actually, we're going to appreciate it, Coach Brown. We're going to keep on going here as the Countdown to Kickoff continues here at Sticks and Vines in Durham. And we appreciate all of those that have come out to support, again, our 7th Countdown to Kickoff, as a matter of fact. And in the beginning of this, I was talking about BOXTOROW, and obviously what BOXTOROW, how we got started. So we started again back in 2005. Really wanted to place an emphasis on HBCU sports, and was able to do that for almost 19 years now. And having events like this where people kind of come out, have an opportunity to meet coaches, and more so even on our national program when we're able to have some of these coaches on the program is really, really exciting for us.
I got bad audio, bud.
We're going to step aside and take a break, come back. We're going to wrap this thing up. It's the 7th Countdown to Kickoff from Sticks and Vines.
I pledge.
I pledge.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
Deer Park is celebrating its 150th anniversary. Let's take a look back.
Deer Park, that's good water.
Pure Deer Park is.
Deer Park, that's good water.
Filtered naturally beneath the earth for a crisp, refreshing taste.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
Deer Park.
That's still good water.
After 150 years, there's only one thing left to say. Deer Park, that's still good water.
How did you all get in here?
The legacy began in 1973. That was the year NCAA Division II was born. And since the very first day, our division has shaped generations of student athletes with a true sense of academics, athletics, and community. That is 5 decades of graduations, championships, teamwork, and personal development. 50 years of shaping student athletes into world-class leaders. NCAA Division II. Our division, our legacy.
All right, we're back here at Sticks and Vines in Durham. It's the 7th Countdown to Kickoff. We have had a really, really good time. Of course, we began things with, of course, Shaw's head football coach Adrian Jones in his 9th season. Then North Carolina Central head football coach Trey Oliver joined us on the program. He's in his 6th season. Elizabeth City State head football coach Marcus Hilliard joined us. He's in his 3rd season. Fayetteville State head football coach Richard Hayes in his 9th season also joined us a little bit earlier on in the countdown to kickoff. Johnson C. Smith, head football coach Maurice Flowers in his 3rd season joined us. Winston-Salem State head football coach Robert Massey in his 4th season. And in the last segment, we were joined by North Carolina A&T head football coach Vincent Brown in his 2nd season. And again, I was sharing this a little bit earlier. We started this thing, and by the way, this is, of course, the head coaches within the state of North Carolina. This is the 2nd year in a row that we've done this, where we've had maybe all but one head coach that was available for this. And this has continued to grow really over the years. I can think back to 2014 when we first started. We were in a town called Holly Springs, North Carolina, which is just right outside of Raleigh. We had that first year, we may have had, I think it was Jerry Mack at North Carolina Central. Fayetteville State's head coach, it's escaping me who the coach was at that time. Shaw's head coach. Matter of fact, Robert Massey was the coach at that time at Shaw. He came through. And then St. Augustine's head coach, his name is escaping me right now. But we did it then again in 2015. And then in subsequent years, we did it. Thank you to J. Bell. Coach Costa from St. Aug's came out that first year, as a matter of fact, in 2014. We did it in 2015. Then in subsequent years, we did it every other year. So we were in Raleigh in 2017, in Durham in 2019, back in Durham in 2021. 2023, we were right here at Sticks and Vines on last year. And then, of course, right back here at Sticks and Vines for this 7th countdown to kickoff. So, again, I want you to be on the lookout for this. BOXTOROW is getting ready to celebrate 20 years, or its 20th year, I should say, on the air. And we've got a nice rollout, shall I call it. And, of course, during the course of the program, we'll give you more information about that. And, as a matter of fact, you can listen each and every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM College Sports Radio Channel 84. But what we're going to do is sort of take a listen back and a look back at some of the conversations that we've had over the 20 years with the likes of, not only these great head football coaches, but the likes of like a Jerry Rice, for instance, or Serena Williams, for instance, or a Kevin Durant, for instance, or Kevin Hart, for that matter, for instance. We have had some absolutely great guests that have come on this program in the almost 20 years that it's been on the air. So we're very much looking forward to rolling that out to you. Again, thank you to all of our excellent head coaches who joined us today here on the 7th BOXTOROW countdown to kickoff. And we want to especially thank those that have come out to Sticks and Vines here in Durham. Thank you to my man Brian, the owner of Sticks and Vines, who has allowed us to come here for the 2nd straight year. And always remember to support those that support you. BOXTOROW is produced by DW Communications.